It's just fascinating that it's connected to this social governance, like this social movement, the social justice movement is connected to just pure evil capitalism.
That's
It's wild.
oh, totally.
It's a real good con game. Because the people that are involved in the social justice aspect of it think they're doing the right thing.
It's sold and packaged so well, Joe. It's packaged so well.
Yeah.
Half the battle is how you package your message, right?
Yeah.
If you think about Trump's packaging with his message, great message. He beats Hillary, right? DeSantis' packaging of his message, it's not packaged well, right?
Right.
I think this is it's one of the things we have to be concerned about. We got to recognize who the heroes are. We got to address the drug issue that we're having with the borders. We got to kind of see what's going on with these monopolies that no one's looking at. Like, no one's looking at this stuff. And, what is a monopoly? Are we really enforcing our monopoly law? Yeah, I don't know if we are. There's a reason why we have the monopoly law, so the big guy cannot bully the other guy, right?
Right.
When they pitch stuff like, we need to raise the minimum wage, the bigger companies love it when you do that. Trust me, the big companies love it when they raise minimum. Amazon loves it. Walmart loves it when you raise minimum wage. Keep saying raise minimum wage. They don't have a problem going from $13 to $15 to $20. They could care less if you keep doing that, because they're going to raise their margins by 20% or whatever it is and make the money back on the back end. They're not dumb. And you're still going to buy it. We're still going to buy it. We don't have a choice. But it's going to put that guy across the street out of business. So the more small businesses go out of business and fewer small businesses we have, the more these big companies are controlling us. Like, this whole thing with banks going out of business, and Chase bought a couple of them and these guys bought a couple of them. This is helping the bigger guys. Jamie Dimon's sitting there saying, oh, you know what? Let's keep raising, and we have to do the responsible thing because the bigger guys get to buy the small community banks or the regional banks. This favors them. So this concept about, the bigger guys don't want to raise the minimum wage, it's the small business owner that doesn't want to raise the minimum wage. That's the guy in Kansas who cannot afford it. So you need to leave that guy alone, and you need to control New York. Like making $15 in New York, dude, you don't have a life. So I understand New York's minimum wage has got to be different. But New York's minimum wage has got nothing to do with Kansas. It's got nothing to do with Oklahoma. It's got nothing to do with North Dakota, right? It's got nothing to do with some of these places that can't afford to have a number like that happen. But the Walmarts, the Amazons, the bigger guys are like, oh, yeah. Well, you know what, Bernie Sanders? You make a lot of sense. We're going to do the noble thing. And moving forward, Amazon, we're going to put our minimum wage at $15. That guy's working at Joey's liquor store or Joey's market across the street that's been there for 72 years, passed down in 3 generations. He goes to Joey and says, hey, listen, bro, I know you're Joey the third. I got to go work at Amazon. They're offering $15 an hour, and I'm only 18 years old. I'm only 19 years old because you're only offering me $12.20. Now, that guy's going to say, okay, I'll go to $15 as well. Totally get it, but that guy gives a richer benefit. Now he has to raise the prices. Now families go to Amazon. So capitalism, if we eliminate a lot of these small business owners, man, it's a very problematic issue. They get to raise the prices whatever they want to raise it to.
Well, we saw a lot of that during COVID, right? I mean, that's what benefited people during the lockdowns. Who benefited? The large businesses. Mm-hmm. Large businesses that were labeled as essential, while small businesses were forced to stay shut, which was wild.
How many restaurants shut down?
It was in Los Angeles at one point in time, it was more than 70%.
Think about, most restaurants have a story. You go to a restaurant, you're like, so how'd you guys start this place?
Right.
How many of these guys do you have? Oh, we have 3 of them. How did it get started? Mm-hmm. Guy named, Louis started it 48 years ago, and his son did this, and now his, grandson is running it. Mm-hmm. That's freaking awesome. It's the American dream, bro. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Son is not making $200,000 a year, and he's doing okay for himself, and restaurant is his. Boom. 48 years. Gone. The average person is like, yeah, it's just a restaurant. It's not a big deal. That family's legacy, that dad busted his ass in the 60s or the 70s to pass this down to his son and his grandson, that guy's dream is done. You know how we go to funerals and you're sitting there saying, oh, man, that guy's crying pretty bad. He lost his mom, man. I don't want to go through this. One day, go, look at that guy. He lost his wife or he did this. You cry, right? It is just as emotional to me when a small business that's ran by a regular family, they've kept it in. They've made their own money. They didn't rely on the government. They didn't ask for handouts. They busted their asses. Restaurant is a tough business. You lost your business. That's a funeral. That's a lot of funerals that we had. All those stories, all the going to bed, you're laying next to your wife, and you're saying, babe, you know what I'm watching about Gary? What, babe? I think he's going to run the restaurant one day. And wife says, babe, I feel it as well. I'm so happy. It's going to be so great. That's Gary. That's the father and the mother's dream that put so much time into it. In our community, there's a family. They bought 3 houses, right? And the mom and dad started this medical company, and they grew it. They got 7,000 employees today. And now both sons are living next to them. Each son has 4 kids. And you go into their house, tradition, here's what we do Tuesdays, Mondays, da-da-da-da-da. And like, what a great story. I look at the mom and dad, and you see mom and dad, the founders are always a little bit rougher because they're the ones that pay the price. You can always feel, there's a certain dynamic to it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, to me, a Trump candidate, I really wanted DeSantis to play ball. I really was. When I read his book, I'm like, okay, this guy's going to come out and announce now. When he came out with his book, he didn't. I think they missed the mark. We moved to Florida because of DeSantis. This is what we moved to Florida for. We were living in L.A., and I was going to move the media company to potentially Newport Beach because I like Newport Beach. We were looking at Greenwich to be right outside of New York so we can recruit talent. We looked at Nashville. We thought about staying in Dallas, and we thought about Tampa. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, the way COVID is going, babe, we're going to Florida. We went and rented a house Christmas in Fort Lauderdale, and I said, we're moving to Florida because of DeSantis. But I think Trump is a guy that I think he's the only guy that's shown, him and RFK, that are willing to go up against some of these guys. But RFK's got to go through a guy named Joe. And the establishment Democrats, there's no way they're going to give the platform to him.
Do you think they can stop it?
Him?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My idea would have been, like I say, hey, if you can't run as a third party, apparently he can't now. If they don't do it, he can't go back and run as a third party. I think you have to run as a third party from day one. Do I think they can stop it? If Joe steps out, RFK can get in. Like if Joe steps out and Newsom comes in, they have to debate. Like imagine Newsom RFK debate. Dude, that's sick. Don't you want to see that?
Yeah.
I'd love to see that, right? But Joe has to step out for them to fight forward. So that has to happen. I don't know if that's going to be happening.
I think they have to be very careful about that too. Because when does he step out? I just can't imagine they think they're going to run him.
Joe?
Yeah, I just can't imagine it. I couldn't believe they were running him in 2020.